Welcome to the Infernal Brotherhood of the Scruffy-Looking Nerf Herders. This is a live Star Wars video podcast made for Star Wars fans by Star Wars fans. And today we're going to be taking a special look back at Season 2 in this special retrospective episode that's special. Because I don't know how many more times I can say special.
Isn't that special?
It is.
Mandalorian Season 2 blew collectively everyone's minds.
Yeah.
It was one of those magical moments that you never thought you could top the first season, which was just wonderful. And then they did. And now we're just stuck in the aftermath going, fuck.
Yeah. Still get that way every time I watch it.
Thanks for joining us live, William. How you doing, man? I want to talk about that intro really quick before we dive into the Mandalorian Season 2. We have recorded 3 different times, including the current intro that we're using for this. 3 different times to try to get different types of intros or to change it up and stuff. I went back to the footage we recorded last time and I tried to make it work and I just couldn't do it. And it's really, really frustrating me. So now I'm starting to think, what if we just slim it down? Instead of trying to do like this over the top sort of intro thing, why don't we just... Hold on, I'm going to up the bit rate. I just got a notification here. Why don't we just instead have the title card? And that's the intro. It's like...
That's crazy talk.
I know.
That doesn't... But that's not more work than you absolutely need.
I know.
I mean, come on. You got to stretch yourself as thin as you can, Adam.
Okay, I'll keep trying. How's it going, Josh? Thank you. I hope you like this shirt because I am, in fact, a scruffy-looking nerf herder, and I know you are as well, and you can actually get your own I am a scruffy-looking nerf herder t-shirt from our Teespring store, and the link is in the description below, so check it out. There's a lot of other really great t-shirt designs, too. Okay.
I'm a big fan of the distressed logo. Just saying.
It's pretty dope. It is pretty dope. Let's get into Mandalorian Season 2. Sort of overarching tone, like what was your biggest takeaway when you're reflecting on the entirety of the season?
Fuck, I have to take away one thing. Jesus, that's a tall order.
You can do it.
Like this, the one thing in retrospect, like watching start to finish, including the post-credits scene, this was Favreau and Filoni being like, ha, fuckers, we were able to make a Boba Fett show. He's not dead.
Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, ultimately, that's where this started, was Favreau being like, I want to make a Boba Fett show. Well, you can't. He's dead, John. Ha, fuck you. Hold my beer.
Prove it. Yeah, that is interesting because that was the whole genesis of The Mandalorian as a show, and Season 2 realized it, and I think now that we're getting the Book of Boba Fett at the end of this year, and then the following year is going to be the 3rd chapter or not the 3rd chapter, but I guess the 3rd book or whatever, however they're going to break it down. The next part of The Mandalorian as its series, it is going to be interesting. So, I don't know. I think the biggest thing is not only did he eventually make the very show he wanted to make, and he's going to have that explored more with Robert Rodriguez in the Book of Boba Fett.
Can't wait.
He also really did a deep dive on Star Wars lore in a way that no one has ever done, except for Filoni in animated form. Yep. And so even the films, like them or not, they never did a deep dive on lore. You know, like the sequel trilogy, for example. And even the original and prequel trilogies, they were very, very light on like Star Wars lore. And this series, it just like did a nosedive. It was great.
Yeah. It's like, hey guys, you remember all that cool stuff you liked? Well, here it is. Hooray.
Every single frame has something for every single person. It was fantastic. All right, so let's just sort of
that's a perfect way to start the show, because what better than the Marshal?
Yeah.
Like, that is such an important character from, the book series. Like, I will go out on a limb and say the last good book series since Disney took over was the Aftermath trilogy.
I liked them a lot. I like the glimpses that we got,
Yeah, there was so much potential.
And Mr. Bones? Come
Mr. Bones, we need a fucking show
I
about Mr.
know!
Bones for Christ's sake.
It was amazing. So for those of you who don't know the Aftermath novels, penned by Chuck Wendig, I think it was,
Mhm.
and he has since been ousted from Star Wars because I guess he had a Me Too woke moment and got kicked out because of it. He got canceled. But there was like the main storyline that drove the three novels was with totally new characters, and one was this young boy who was a sort of pilot, and he had this B1 droid, battle droid, and he reprogrammed the entire thing and sort of redecorated it with like scavenged parts, and it looked like this sort of why can't I say the word? It was like a vulture
Oh,
countenance,
Vulture. Yeah.
and he was called Mr. Bones, and he was a fucking murderous maniac.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted blood. It was crazy.
It was amazing.
But that's where we got the Marshal originally from, because between like each of those the main story, we got these little glimpses, little like story teasers of what was happening throughout the galaxy. One was a really wonderful send off to, I thought it was a wonderful send off to our favorite Gungan, and then another was, why can't I remember his name right now?
Cobb Vanth.
Cobb Vanth, thank you, Cobb Vanth. So
yeah,
anyway,
that's ultimately how the series ended, was after the battle of Yavin. He comes across the armor and is just like, well, I'm gonna be the law in this here parts.
in these here parts. I mean, the casting was fantastic, but we've already talked about the episode. But to start from that point, it immediately started answering questions that were posed, and not really even questions, just like exclamation marks of who the hell is that, walking up to the dead body at the end of one of the episodes. So it starts answering these little questions. Of course, the entire premise of this season is Din Djarin needs to find the people for the child to be reunited with. Now, at least I was thinking it was going to be his species. I didn't initially think it was going to be the Jedi. Did you?
No, I figured it'd be the Jedi. I was on the fence as to who it was going to be, and of course I was completely fucking wrong. I figured it was going to be like Cal from what the fuck is his last, Cal Kestis or whatever, from
Jedi.
the Fallen Order. Like I figured it would be him or some other random stray Jedi, but well, spoiler, it was fucking Luke Skywalker.
yeah.
So that's okay. That's okay that it wasn't Cal.
Yeah, talking about going out swinging. My goodness. Yeah, and I don't know that the fan base would have been any more divided or not if it had been someone like Cal Kestis, because a lot of people, if you're not a video gamer, you don't know who the fuck that is. So they chose someone that made the most logical sense as far as the on-screen fans, are going to be concerned. But it still leaves open the fact that we know Cal Kestis is out there. We know there's other Jedi out there. I mean, we meet Ahsoka Tano in this season, so
she's not a Jedi though.
That's true. Not technically, even though she's got a laser sword. That kind of makes her a Jedi, and she's a good person. She's like a nice lady. Is she really nice though? Like, she's super kind in the cartoon series, in Rebels and stuff, in Clone Wars, but she straight up goes toes with Din immediately. She's ready to cut his head off.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, even just like the whole intro, like she's got a smirk on her face because she's enjoying wiping them fuckers out.
Yeah,
she is definitely riding that line between Jedi and Sith, as one should.
Yeah. And it's funny because they set her up as she's supposed to be the idealized Jedi, where she sees where the Order is actually corrupted and just defunct, and so she leaves it, and yet she's still a murderous savage herself. So, what the hell? Whatever happened to
all about
Guardians of Peace?
Well, she doesn't have to worry about that anymore. Now she's just like, I feel like that's the right thing to do. I'm gonna cut your head off.
Yeah, you don't need your head.
Yeah.
You were shooting at me. Okay, well, I'm not going to judge her. She's badass, and she would kick my ass. So, I'll just keep my mouth
I'd let her
shut.
kick ass.
Yeah. I'd like to play with those Leku.
Hell yeah.
So the Marshal was great because it not only brought us back to the world that we had missed for a year, and it sort of eased us into this really heavy Western vibe that the entire show is sort of based around, that samurai Western feel.
Mm-hmm.
But then it picks up with some of the legend information, some of what we didn't think was considered legend, and yet no one else referenced it until we saw Cobb Vanth.
Right.
And so we're like, okay, great. They're going to actually start tying in some really interesting stuff, but that couldn't have been in season 1. That couldn't have been Boba Fett because Cobb Vanth has his armor, hence Boba Fett's dead. That's that.
Yeah.
Until credits roll. And then we're like, oh, what? No way. So here's my question, because it matters for the rest of the season, because Boba Fett throughout this entire season is a helping hand for Din Djarin. There's this weird sense of honor-bound duty that he has for getting his armor back. But he knew where the armor was. Like, he had to have. He knew Cobb Vanth had it. He even mentioned it. So why do you think Boba Fett didn't take it from Cobb Vanth, and then he went hunting for it from Din Djarin?
I have no fucking idea. I hadn't even thought about that.
It's weird because, like, he knew it.
Yeah.
He knew where it was.
It's like, yeah, you're on the same planet. You're just a hop, skip, and throw away. He's just some punk kid, basically.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a bounty hunter. He's just basically a small town cop that, he got a bigger head than he should have. So, I mean, yeah, he could have just walked in and smacked the son of a bitch and took it. So, I don't know.
I wonder if, and we'll probably find out with Book of Boba Fett. There'll probably be flashbacks and stuff like that. I can't wait to see a scene of him clawing his way out of the Starlight pit.
I wonder, okay, so it was mentioned in this episode, but I wonder if his escape wasn't his escape. Like if it was a byproduct of the Krayt Dragon eating the Sarlacc.
Right.
Yeah, so
that'd be interesting.
That's something to think about.
I mean, the fact is, when we do get the glimpse of him, he's clearly been existing in that state for some time. Like, he's geared up, using native clothes and native tools. So it does seem like he's sort of found a new pace of life for himself until Din Djarin shows up. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to get back into the galaxy.
Yeah. Well, and he even makes mention of that too. Like, I'm just a simple man now.
Yeah. Which is interesting because it doesn't become simple at the very end of the series.
No.
It's him going like, you know what?
Well,
now that I've stretched my legs again, I want to rule.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes sense. It's like he's wearing the armor again. He's going to feel like a badass. Why not? Yeah.
Well, I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm not going to complain at all about it. But he was, again, an integral. If it wasn't for him, this show would have ended at like episode 3 of the season, right? No, it would have been the tragedy. So it would have been chapter 14. Because the fucking what is it? The what crest? Razor Crest.
The Razor Crest.
The Razor Crest gets blowed up, which is fucked. All right, so
completely fucking vaporized.
Yeah, from the Marshal to the passenger. This is the episode that I think everyone was complaining the most about when you look at all of the different episodes together, and it got the lowest rating of all of them as well. But I think this was an integral episode because it introduced the idea to Grogu that there are things more important than sheer survival, that you can cultivate family and connections of love. And yes, we do it vicariously through Frog Woman and Frog Man, but I don't care because it's beautiful. It's wonderful, you know? And that's the only taste of affection and love that Grogu would have had since before he was rescued from the Jedi Temple when Vader was murdering everyone. So, we don't know what however many years he lived up until that point, what his lifestyle was like. Yeah. But like, it's been nothing but war. That has to grade on a person's psyche, especially as a young person for the species anyway. I think it's
not only that, but like a young person that is raised around nothing but caring, compassion, and love. Like, that's got to completely destroy someone's psyche.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm really happy that we got to see that glimpse.
Hmm.
And then the relationship building slowly throughout the season between Din Djarin and what will eventually be revealed as Grogu,
Hmm.
which is just beautiful. Like when in the tragedy when the Dark Troopers took Grogu and the Razor Crest was destroyed and Din Djarin was sort of like rifling through the ashes and found that little
Hmm.
ball. It was just like this little glimpse of hope
Yeah.
of like, oh,
Hmm.
Grogu. I love that. I love that this
Yeah.
stupid fucking series can make me emotional about a fucking puppet. Like,
Hmm.
that's great. Oh. Okay, so the Heiress was great because, of course, it introduces us to Bo-Katan and what was the group called? The Owls or the
The Night Owls.
Night Owls? Thank you. And
Hmm.
the Night Owls, which was great. I mean, it was like a wonderful high seas adventure, which you don't see in Star Wars ever. And so I love
No.
that they added that little touch to it.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing is being on not Camino,
Right.
like just flying in. But yeah,
But even that, it was
also
just
it was
nothing
nice.
compared to. It really did feel sort of Pirates of the Caribbean ish for a little
Hmm.
bit, like especially the town, which was great setting, the port town, and then
Hmm.
going out to sea and that big old creature in the cage underneath, and that
Yeah.
shocking moment when Grogu is knocked with his pram into the monster that eats him, and Din's reaction is just like, "Oh shit! What did you do?" Ah, and jumps in after him.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun that whole episode, and we go back to that place in the next one, or maybe a couple later, I can't remember, but it seems like we go back to that location a couple times. Oh, it was in the same episode. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting to get exposed to, first of all, we've been set up with this idea of Mandalorians, right? The
Hmm.
through Din's eyes through the entire first season, and this mystical character of the armor relaying the law of Mandalore to
Hmm.
Din and the rest of the surviving and hiding Mandalorians. And so our exposure to this culture is through this one single viewpoint, which is in stark contrast to everything that we've been exposed to through the Clone
Hmm.
Wars of the Mandalorian culture. And of course, if you've ever read comics or books,
Well,
before
and
that.
Rebels too.
Yeah. Right. Um, and so it was really interesting getting to get the context of subculture
Hmm.
through the Night Owls and Bo-Katan specifically. I
Yeah.
thought that
Well,
was just great.
yeah. It's crazy because you don't realize. At least I didn't. Like, you never quite grasp the idea that his form of the Mandalorian lifestyle is like a hardcore religious sect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, until this, and she makes that one little comment of, "Oh, you're one of those," or whatever it is she
Mm-hmm.
says exactly. It's just like, huh, never thought of that.
Yeah, I just thought it was so great because it makes us question everything that we thought we knew in
Hmm.
a really non-aggressive, non like personal identifying change or anything, but it was just
Hmm.
excuse me. It was just a very interesting way to completely alter a paradigm that we thought we understood and entice us to know more and give us a clue about where we're headed for the rest of the
Hmm.
season. Because ultimately she's asking, where's the dark saber?
Hmm.
And I didn't know she was out there looking for the dark saber. I thought she was dead until she showed up. I thought all the Mandalorians were in hiding or something.
Right.
So for her not only to know that the dark saber's out there, but know who has it and not know how to find him, it was just like, ooh, I have, there's a wonderful way a stepping stone about where we're eventually going to go with this series when it comes
Hmm.
back again. Especially with the ending, the way it ended.
Hmm.
And then we got this really wonderful episode of The Siege, which is just this 80s action uh, romp,
Yeah,
essentially.
that was fucking fun.
But
And who better than Carl Weathers
yeah,
to fucking direct something
yeah,
like that?
yeah. Absolutely. It was just a fun episode, but it
Hmm.
dropped some lore on us, pretty heavy too at the end, about
Oh yeah.
cloning and seeing the results of failed clones, which you don't have to show that, but it's so great that you did, you know?
Hmm.
I love seeing mutated bodies. It's just fucking great.
Oh yeah.
It always reminds me of Resident Evil for some reason.
Fuck yeah. Oh my god, dude. Okay, complete side note. Have you seen the updated trailer of the new one?
Dude. Oh my gosh, it looks more
Fuck.
like a I don't know, a Castlevania than it does Resident
This
Evil.
looks more like Resident Evil than all the other Resident
Oh,
Evils since
really?
like 5. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm excited.
It looks scary as fuck, and I don't want to play
Yeah,
it.
fuck yeah, it does.
I don't want to play it because it looks scary. Yeah, so the siege gives us these clues that yes, in fact, Grogu was used to try to draw midichlorians out of his body and then inject them into some other beings for whatever reason. And of course, we know the sequel trilogy, and so it must ultimately be some sort of connection with that. But at this point, it's not an A to B quite yet, but it's really
Yeah.
pretty much there. And we're getting all these little glimpses of, Dark Troopers and stuff like that, where Moff Gideon is clearly, he's got backers. It's not just him isolated and alone. There's someone else he's working for even, which again ties into a greater scheme of, is it the existing Imperial remnants that were sent into the wild space, the Outer Rim or whatever by Palpatine before he died? Or is this the remnant that fled after they were defeated by the New Republic? Like, there's so many answers that are still yet unknown, but there's patches and markings that say it's the Seventh Fleet, which is supposed to be Thrawn's fleet. So we're like, whoa, the promise of the future of this series is just cemented in mystery. I love it. After the siege, we get into an homage of everything beautiful with Kurosawa.
Oh my god.
and fuck, Filoni did a tremendous job with Ahsoka Tano, bringing her to live action. What did you think about that?
Just the reveal of her, because of course we all knew Ahsoka was coming back. We all knew it was going to be episode 5 because that's when Filoni's doing. So of course he's going to take his flagship character and do her live action debut. Yeah. But like, I figured it would be like later on in the episode we get just like little glimpses of her and then big reveal at the end. But no, right in the beginning, just chopping motherfuckers just down
right in your face
like a goddamn ninja. Oh, it was so fucking awesome. Yeah, just everything about this episode was what Star Wars is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So fucking
and I heard someone else say it, and so I'm not taking credit for this, but most of the Star Wars content that's come out after George Lucas has been creating it has felt like an homage to Star Wars. This is what Star Wars originally was, which was an homage to other great filmmakers and great genres. And so it feels more pure because it's not a parody of itself like the sequel trilogy was. It's going back to the roots and just great storytelling through what originally inspired it, like the original trilogy was. And that's why I think it resonates so clearly with the audience in ways that none of the other content really has, because it isn't a parody of itself. It's an homage to what inspired it.
Oh yeah.
And this episode,
well, and it's like, this is what Star Wars would have been if Lucas had done it now versus in the 70s, and had the technology and had the time and had the money to do it. Like, all the elements of, the Seventh Samurai that he was obsessed with, that he wanted in the original series, he wasn't able to do because of technology and budgetary constraints. They did with this, and so beautifully. Like, if you guys have watched the second season of Galleries, and I hate calling it a season because it's not a season, it's an episode. It's a document. It's basically a documentary, like a feature-length documentary. But when you get to that part of the episode, when they're talking about the Jedi, like, they are going into such fine, minute detail, essentially trying to recreate the elements that Lucas wanted of the Seventh Samurai with this episode. And it just, if you haven't seen it, you have to watch it. Like, if you didn't already like this episode, it's going to make you fall in love with this episode.
I mean, like, shot by shot reframing from its original inspiration to the new modern. And I don't, like there's a part of me as a designer, like at the professional side of me, that's like, you're kind of just copying what has already been done and relying on that for nostalgia and connection.
Hmm.
But it is different enough, and the story is different enough that I do feel like it is an homage and it's not a
Hmm.
copy.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
don't know. I can see how people would complain about it if they were inclined to, but I do see that it is different enough to be an original work,
Hmm.
and an inspired one. For better
Yeah,
or
I
worse.
mean, this is like what the Fantastic Seven wanted to be.
Right. Yeah.
Like the Fantastic Seven is a blatant fucking Western ripoff of the Seventh Samurai,
Yep.
whereas this is like saying, "Hey, you know that story that we all love? Well, we're gonna use elements of it and make it our own."
Yeah. It was great. And then we get into the tragedy.
Oof.
So Ahsoka gives us a lot of reveals. She tells us Grogu's name is Grogu, that he
Mhm.
was rescued from the temple during the purge, that she can't train him, she won't, and it's just this wonderful, beautiful moment when she's like, "I've seen this before, and I'm
Mhm.
not going down this road." And she's clearly talking about Anakin and slash Darth Vader, and I love so
Mhm.
much that she was genuinely like, "No, I will
Yeah.
not. I've seen where
Is
this
that
goes."
really? Is that all you thought she was talking about? Because I really thought she was talking about herself as well. Because she
Oh,
had a pretty
really?
big, yeah, she had a pretty big fall. I mean, after being possessed by the elementals or
Right.
whatever the fuck, the Celestials. Sorry, different series. Um, like she never came back the same way, and really, it was up until the point where she becomes Fulcrum in Rebels. She's in a dark spot.
Yeah.
So, like, I
Oh,
mean,
that's
of course,
interesting.
the overt part of the discussion was Vader, because I mean that's
Right.
fucking heavy. But I think part of it was her talking about herself too.
I like that. I did not pick up on that. Interesting. Okay. I'll buy that. Um, but ultimately, she's telling the audience that this is up for Din to figure out,
Hmm.
and he needs to keep searching. Like, and up to this point, we're like, well, he's not going to find anyone else. Like, that's it. She's like, go stick Grogu on the top of this Jedi temple and have him call out. But I can't promise anyone's going to be hearing you because there's not many one of us out there. And apparently no one knows about Luke Skywalker, so clearly she's not thinking about him,
Right.
which is
And that
weird.
that is still pretty fucking weird because this isn't that long after the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah, if she's out there kicking the tires of the galaxy, she would have run across Luke Skywalker by now. He would have felt her, and he would have come to her, or she would have felt him, and they would have like met, some weird comedic slapstick way or something. Like it would have happened by now. I think that's
Yeah.
weird. The two most
Yeah.
powerful Jedi out there, and they're just like two trains in the night. What the
Makes
fuck?
sense.
Crazy, man. So the tragedy was really a tragedy, but it was terrifying too
Hmm.
because it gave us this promise of a great finale. Because of
Hmm.
course Grogu is abducted by the Dark Troopers. It brought back Boba Fett in full fucking badass form, proving once and for
Fuck
all that he
yeah.
is truly the badass most people always thought he was.
Hmm. We all just hoped he was because he looked
Yeah,
so fucking cool,
yeah,
and now we know he is.
hell yeah.
Like he mowed down an entire platoon with a fucking Gadurfy stick. Like that was
So vicious.
badass. Even at a point when he has a fucking blaster,
Yeah.
he's knocking motherfuckers down and could take an E11. But nope, I'm gonna take this random scrap metal fucking stick and bust some heads in.
He's badass. He's such a fucking
Yeah.
badass. I loved it so much. And then we get the two final episodes, The Believer, which, they need to find where Moff Gideon is located in space, essentially. And it reintroduces us to Mayfield. And it does so in this really beautiful PTSD sort of challenging perceptions type of way.
Mm-hmm.
And it really focuses on just because you were working for the Empire doesn't mean that you accepted everything that they did, and doesn't
Hmm.
mean that you will forever work with them. And we get to see, in the same way that Din Djarin has pretty much abandoned his bounty hunting life in order to take care of Grogu and try to lead him to safety of his own people, Mayfeld has abandoned his old life as an Imperial soldier
Hmm.
and moved forward to, sort of scum and villainy. I mean, that he's he's a criminal, but the point is that he's moved on beyond what he essentially truly believed in at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And so
yeah, this was a heavy episode.
Yeah, just testing faith, testing understanding of oneself, and the ideas that you truly think are real in life and important in life, and just seeing the results of some of them. You know, like Din Djarin takes his fucking mask off in front of everyone so that he can do the one thing that is more important to him than the Mandalorian code, and that's save what ultimately is basically his foster son, which is beautiful. And then Mayfield loses his fucking mind, which is also beautiful, and they do this wonderful escape.
Watching the range of emotions on his face is just like, man, he is a fucking phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
Like watching his stand-up, years and years ago, you never would have seen any of this.
No.
Like, this blew my mind.
Yeah, the depth of, I mean, there's always that old idea between comedians that you have to be a fucked up individual in order to be a comedian. Like, you just have to have this tragic sense of existence. And so he has stuff to draw on, but to be able to convey it is a whole other thing entirely. And so I was really impressed with that as well. It was great. And we get our final episode, The Rescue. And oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Not only was it this wonderful siege, like this sort of assault on the bad guy's home turf, but we also got to see some true moments of growth, like the final moments of an arc of growth, not just with Din, but also with Grogu. His final accepting, like, I don't want to go. I don't care about learning about the Force. I want to be with you. And then he sees Luke Skywalker face to face, and he's like, and then he sees R2, which is fucking awesome.
That's probably what it was. He's like, I don't trust this guy. Ooh, fun droid.
Like, oh, you. I can ride you. I can hit you with a stick. Let's do this.
Fucking seagulls.
They'll bite your knees. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, but then he makes that decision, like, I'll go with him, but I want to see your face first. I want to have a moment. And Din takes his helmet off again in front of everyone, and it was fucking beautiful. Just a wonderful moment between foster son and father, and he hands him off to the only person in the galaxy I would ever trust anyone with, Luke. And it was fucking great. And then us fans who always wanted to see the Luke Skywalker from Return and After finally got to see him whipping ass and cutting motherfuckers down.
And it was straight up the boarding of the 1084 scene in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Like watching that shit side by side, it's like, God damn it, he's so good.
Yeah, he is his father's son. My goodness. Just cutting him down. I love that. And I understand why they kept it heavy hood over his face, but it's a callback to old Jedi training. You don't need to see, and especially Luke, his first exposure to lightsaber training was with the blast shield down.
Oh yeah.
So to see
him,
and
the crazy thing is,
what's that?
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, to see him using the cowl like that and not relying on having the hood off, for whatever story reason, I don't care. It felt like Luke in such a wonderful way.
Yeah. Well, and especially because we already know, like, younger Luke, at least from Legends, would really straddle that line of, is it going dark side? Is it not? And that was a heavy training tool with the Sith, was just straight up, like, completely blacking out all your senses. If you go back to, like, the Knights of the Old Republic games, like, that would make you super powerful if you had a full encompassing, like, hood. Like, no vision, no sight, or no sound, no smells, nothing. Like, you would become a monster pretty much.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's like, that's almost like a form of battle meditation.
Wow. Okay. It was awesome. It was just everything I ever wanted shown, and it was just so great. And to see the reaction of the Mandalorians, he's like, open the door, and they're like, no! Did you see what he just did? Right? You got your mind. I thought that was great too. But ultimately, what we got from this second season, I think, was once again a wonderful promise of a whole lot to come, because Bo-Katan made Din Djarin swear that he would help her retake Mandalore. Now he has the Darksaber, which was supposed to go to her to lead, so we know they're going to be going back to Mandalore and probably fighting Thrawn's 7th Fleet in order to free it. That's what I got.
Not only that, like, that is heavy shit.
Yeah.
Like, he won the Darksaber. He is the Mandalore. Like, that's a big fucking deal.
Yeah,
to go
he's
from
just
like
trying to give it away.
some fringe guy that barely knows anything about the Mandalorian culture aside from, you know, war is life and war is religion, to being like the head of the culture.
Yeah.
Like, that shit's crazy. And then, yeah, to be like, oh, well, here, take it. It's cool, man. I don't want it.
You have to beat me in battle? All right, I give. You win. Here, take it. Seriously.
Right?
It's so great. Another, we talked about this last time when we did the actual review of the episode. It does bug me that so many Star Wars fans are like, why did she not take it? She took it in the cartoon. Like, they're going to explain it. Chill out. Like,
yeah, exactly. Well, and here's the thing. In the fucking cartoon, she clearly didn't hold on to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, maybe she realized, fuck, I need to for realsies earn this, so it can't leave my hand.
Realsies. Yeah. I absolutely think that's exactly why she didn't take it. Is because she knew she needed to do it the traditional way in order to have the authority behind the Darksaber.
Well, and it was even questioned in the cartoons after she got it, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I'd have to rewatch them. I don't remember.
I swear it was questioned, her authority, because she didn't win it in battle. But I don't know. It's been years, so I don't rightly remember.
But either way, they're going to explain it. Like, we're going to get into all that. I mean, as soon as they get to, like, the underground remnants of Mandalorians on Mandalore, and they start doing the, sort of insurgency and restart that whole battle, which is just going to be amazing, I'm sure. We'll get into it. Like, they'll explain it and stuff. But this series also promised a whole bunch of offshoots. So we have Ahsoka Tano offshoot. We have Rangers of the New Republic offshoot. We've got the Book of Boba, which was revealed at mid-credit scene. And if Josh didn't tell us about that, I never would have looked. Waited for it, so I'm glad you told me. Thanks, man. And there's just a lot that this is spinning off into. Are you concerned with so many spin-offs that it's not going to be able to live up to the promise?
Great I would say yes if it wasn't for the fact that it was Filoni and Favreau at the helm. Like, I'll follow them anywhere at this point. Like, they've proven they know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah. And then just, like, even with galleries, just watching how those two work together, it's like the spirit of Star Wars broke up into two beings. And Uncle George was just like, you two are my sons, take over.
And the father, yeah.
Like, it's just, like, I trust anything they do.
Yeah. I'm hoping. And, the truth is, if I don't like one or two or all of the spin-offs, I don't really care, because I like what they're doing with this. And so at least, there's something for everyone here. And so you can't bitch. When it was just the sequel trilogy, if you didn't like it, well, you were just shit out of luck. Now, you're not shit out of luck anymore. There's tons of stuff out. So you can always find something that you're going to enjoy and celebrate Star Wars with in such a wonderful way, like The Mandalorian is doing. And you can't ask for anything more than that. It's great. It's just wonderful. Yeah. What do you want most after this season? Like, what are you looking forward to the most?
Oh my God, it's stupid because it has nothing to do with story, but I can't wait to see Din actually use the Darksaber in a fight.
Oh yeah,
that's just gonna be so badass, especially if he's still wielding the Beskar spear. Like that, that's gonna be some intense melee shit.
Hell yeah!
Like,
and I was gonna say, he knows how to do like the flamboyant dance fighting, because we saw it in Game of Thrones. For those of you who watched that, when he was the Viper, like he did in that he had a really long spear too, And so he did this really great fighting between him and the mountain. He ultimately lost, but it was still great watching up until the end. So he definitely knows how, and it's just like sort of muscle memory needs to be reminded. So that's going to be pretty badass seeing him fight with the Darksaber. But again, we just defeated seemingly the big bad guy, Moff Gideon. And so there has to be a new big bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think we're going to go immediately to it being Thrawn, or do you think it's going to be another henchman, or like, what are you thinking?
I would imagine it's going to be going warlord to warlord, just like how the book series had started off. I don't even know where the fuck it is anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't keep up. But ultimately, because they have said that this is essentially going to be the Star Wars version of Endgame, with all the new series tying into each other and then leading to that final confrontation. I honestly think that the final confrontation is going to be the confrontation with Thrawn himself.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It might be like little offshoots of the Seventh Fleet. I'd love to see the return and recovery of Mandalore. But as far as like this coming season, I don't know where it's going to go. Yeah. Especially because we have the Book of Boba Fett beforehand, which is taking place at the same time. So,
you think Cobb Vanth is going to come back with the Book of Boba Fett?
I don't know. I'd like to see that, but also like that was like the perfect way to end that character,
right?
Because at least in the book, like that was so heavily a part of who he was. Mm-hmm. He was a fucking nobody. He was a wanderer, and then, oh hey, this is cool shit. I'm gonna put this on and be the law. So I don't know. It'd be nice, but I don't know.
I think he's great.
Oh yeah,
I want more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I really do want to see a little bit more sort of conflict with the Mandalorian remains. I want them to go back to Mandalore, find other cells that are hiding out, and find the armor again, and then have that religious zealot and the Mandalorian populace, or whatever they call themselves, like go head to head, and have that be the great big conflict of chapter, or the book 3, I guess it would be, or whatever the next
Part
season
3.
is.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be nice, because then it would give all the other series enough time to catch up, and then we get this looming thread of Thrawn, and then we can have the big showdown with it.
Yeah.
But the fact that one person has a Darksaber, that's been done before, that unifies everyone, and all the Mandalorians are happy to fight another day. That's not this world anymore. Like this, there's going to be who the fuck is this guy? How can he have it? There's going to be fighting.
Well, and that's not how it was to begin with anyways either, because we had that, two sides of the coin fighting each other like previously, because we had Death Watch and the Mandalorian populace. So,
yeah.
Like, I don't care that we've seen it before. I'm totally fine with seeing that shit again. Like, even on, like, the cartoons was amazing watching those two fight. Live action, I think it'd be even better.
Yeah. I think it's going to be great. And then that'll give Bo-Katan the moment of leadership that she needs to try to unify the two factions together in order to fight the greater threat. And maybe at that point, they just see her as the de facto leader without having to rely on ancient customs of having the Darksaber. What if the Darksaber is broken? Do you need that as the unifying element, or do they recognize it as a flawed unifying element?
Man, my honest hope with her, and this is, I mean, at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if it happened, because they're drawing from legends so well. But I would love it if she ends up saying "fuck the Darksaber" and comes across Mandalore the Uniter's helm.
Oh, right.
And dons that. Like, that would be some shit.
That'd be pretty cool. And I wouldn't put it past these guys to do it, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. It would be a pretty big move, though, in like season 3 or season 4 to destroy the MacGuffin of season 1 and 2. Like the Darksaber we got at the very end of season 1, and all of season 2, people were fighting for it, and then they just break it.
Yeah, it'd be hilarious.
I think it would be good for story-wise, for a future, because you don't need stuff like that in order to have a unified nation. Every time you try to latch too hard on to past orthodoxies, it just, you grow as a culture, you grow as a civilization. You don't need to just stick with ancient ways. You can, you can change. And it's probably a good thing if you do. All right.
Yeah, usually.
Usually, yeah. Well, this is all I got. Anything else you want to talk about for the
No, we
retrospective?
we definitely touched on everything.
It was beautiful.
I mean, well, okay, we didn't touch on Filoni and what's his bucket, like as
Rodriguez,
the X-wing pilots. No,
Oh yeah.
X-wing pilots, like that shit was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like they need their own show, and I really hope that's what Squadrons is.
I think he's going to be in Rangers of the Republic. I don't think
Or Rangers.
Filoni's...
That's what it was. Rangers.
Yeah, I don't Rangers of the New Republic. I don't think Filoni is going to do anymore, but because he'll probably be too busy with the Ahsoka Tano show.
True.
Like he's got a lot to live up to with that, especially with this first episode.
Yeah.
Do you okay? So there's a whole bunch of rumors. Really quick before we end this episode. There was going to be a Rebels return, like a sequel to the Rebels cartoon, featuring Sabine Wren and Ahsoka Tano looking for Ezra Bridger and Thrawn. Like that was in development, and I think they even had some scripts and stuff done up, if not artwork. And then when Favreau took over and started Mandalorian, and they saw the promise of the volume and everything like that, they said, you know what, let's stop that. Let's just do a limited series with Ahsoka Tano. We know she's looking for Thrawn, and so this would be the perfect sort of sequel to that in a limited series. And if we're doing like 8 to 12 episodes, whatever it is, do you think they'll return to animated form after that?
I think they might just, use what they were using for the animated series for that, because it would just make sense. Because, I mean, they could draw it out, make it, do sort of like Rebels, where it was, a multiple season thing, but it wasn't meant to be a long form show. Yeah. It was meant to be just a few seasons. So, like, I would imagine they would end up just, revamping all the material into the live action instead of doing the animated.
Yeah. And I'm a little split on that, to be honest, because I love what they're doing with live action, but I do, there's a special place in my heart for the animated stuff. You can really just go crazy with the animated stuff, and you don't have to worry about budgets like you do with the live action as much.
That's true. Well, it's just, I don't know, with a series like that, like aside from doing the whatever the fucking force walking shit was, I forget what it's called, and this stuff with the big force beast, I forget what his name is. Right, I'm on Wednesday. Right? Yes, the Bendu. Yeah. Aside from stuff like that, like there was no reason they couldn't do any of that live action. Yeah. From what I remember of Rebels, at least.
Yeah.
But
and I did have a problem with how they treated Thrawn in Rebels, especially with the Bendu confrontation. I thought that was kind of shitty. Personally, I thought Thrawn would have done better, but
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. It was all really interesting, and I like how the books tied into those, the Thrawn trilogy tied into the end of Rebels and stuff. And he was, Zahn was confined by that storytelling. But now I haven't read the newest book of the new Thrawn trilogy yet, but I hear it's supposed to be really good, and it's really diving into the Grisks and the Chiss cultures, which I think is really cool. And I'm hoping that we get to see that as a film trilogy coming up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Desperately. Cool. Well, that's what we all wanted with the fucking sequel trilogies. Yeah. Was them to bring back Thrawn and him be the Billy badass. And instead we got what we got.
Yeah. I don't want to get back into it because I just get upset. All right.
Same.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in live. We appreciate you guys' time and attention. And of course, anyone watching this after the fact, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you loved Mandalorian Season 2 as much as we did. And if you did, let us know what your favorite parts, or if we forgot something that you found really important about Season 2 as, thematically or just characters or whatever, put it in the comments below and we'll have a conversation about it. And that's really what's so great about Star Wars. It's the conversations and the speculation that we have after we get to see some of the wonderful or strange things that are put on screen for us.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much. I'm looking at my notes for what I'm supposed to say next. This is how shitty it's been. We haven't done like a show in a very long time, so I'm a little rusty. Yeah. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel and click that like button and
hit the little bell, people.
Yeah, I don't know. That's it. Thanks.
Well, what about the Teespring store? Aren't people supposed to go buy our t-shirts?
We now have a store for all your scruffy-looking product needs. The link is in the description below. I'm not reading it.
I fucking believed it.
Until the Infernal Brotherhood convenes again, everyone, may the Force be with you.
Dank Ferric. Love that.
Dank Ferric.
So the first time I heard it, I was like, I need to put that in my vocabulary. Just like I did Spain.
Where's your Princess Moon? Princess Moon.